Raw, real, and just a little dangerous. This is Feral.
I'm just going to jump right on in because we do not have a second to waste, because I believe that it very much is the era of repeatable IP. Now, I'm guessing you might be like, what in the actual heck is a repeatable IP? Huh? And so, without further ado, I am thrilled to introduce not only Jennie, but this industry shifting approach to offer design. Jennie, without further flipping ado, what the heck is repeatable IP?
Thank you, Annie. I'm super excited about this. You're doing such a great job. Okay, so repeatable IP is all that Meredyth and I talk about now. It's like our absolute obsession. And the idea of it is a different approach to offer design. I want to be clear from the get-go. I'm not talking about anything that you're doing out there is wrong. However, we have sort of accidentally stumbled into the secret to our success over the last few years. And now we are teaching that. So, and that is repeatable IP. So pieces of intellectual property, that's the IP part, that are designed intentionally for your clients to repeat them, and not repeat them because, hey, that was cool, let's do it again, but to actually design it so it is a repeatable, reinvestable client experience where your clients actually get more out of it each and every time they go through said experience. So designing in that way takes a little more effort up front, but it's just changing the game. And so, Annie, thank you so much for having me, because you have been a part of these since the very beginning.
Yes, reinvestable equals irresistible.
I love it.
And I do, and because yes. So I want you to explain to everybody what it is. But one of the things that I love so much about this is that repeatable IP is not a theory, in that you have proven this in your own business. You've proven this in other businesses. But when people are like, well, I don't understand what a repeatable IP is, it's not necessarily an event, but it is something that is meant to be not only done again and again and again, but reinvested in again and again, right? So that idea of repeatable, reinvestable. And so next week, you have an event that you're super known for, which is a piece of your repeatable, which is called No Matter What. And I can't think of a better way to kind of show that example than to be like, there are some people, Sarah Westcott, who you met earlier today, in her own fabulous referral magic. How many No Matter What's has Sarah done?
I think Sarah has done 11, and you're about to attend your 10th. No Matter What. So this is a really good jumping off point, because actually No Matter What is where this kind of started. So No Matter What is a all-day virtual coaching experience, but by no means don't get stuck on the fact that repeatable IP are all-day virtual experiences. They could be a lot of different things. But repeatable IP kind of came out of us hosting the very first No Matter What, which is a fun story. Very quickly, we decided to announce that we were going to host an event in Los Angeles called No Matter What in June of 2020, but we announced that in February of 2020. And if anybody remembers what those dates are, we couldn't do that. But I named the thing No Matter What. How do you cancel an event you named No Matter What? So we found a way around it. No Matter What, which became really quite funny, right? So we decided to turn it into a virtual experience, and it was amazing, right? At that time, it was a 2-day, but it's shifted into a 1-day experience, and we hosted it in June, and it was amazing. And a few months later, we were starting to promote the next one because we loved it so much. Let's do it again in September. We were going to do, make some iterations and some tweaks based on what we had learned. We're going to do the same thing again. And one of our friends, actually, a shared friend of Annie and I's, Alex, raised her hand and she was like, hey, Jennie, can I come to it again? And I got to be honest, my first gut was like, oh God, clearly I didn't deliver the goods. If she wants to come back, I must have not done a good job, right? Like if she has to buy it again, what did I do wrong? And then we sat with it for a minute. We're like, well, when you go through the experience, it's based on like you getting ready for the next quarter, and everybody's going to have a next quarter. So repeatability was kind of baked into it. So we said yes, and then decided to double down on that and promote it. If you've already been, please come back. Let's see how it goes. And the shock of all shocks is that people actually got more out of it the second time around. And Annie, you were there for both of those, correct? You were there for June and September, I remember. And so like, just having this awakening of like, now that I'm doing this a second time, the first time was cool and my mind was blown. It was amazing. We're not creating like, an experience that you don't get the first time, but the second time, you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Because you know what to expect, the experience is predictable and safe. And because that experience is predictable and safe, you show up to it a little bolder, a little more prepared differently. You're not paying attention to the exercise as much as you're thinking about yourself, which is where we want your brain to be. I mean, that's been your experience, correct, Annie?
Oh my gosh, totally and completely. Let alone new level, new devil, right? In terms of like my mood on a Tuesday in June and my mood on a Tuesday in February could be exactly the same or polar opposite, and they're both Tuesdays, right? And so, yes, one thing is what you're talking about where you get more and more comfortable. It becomes, I love those words you use, predictable and safe.
Yes.
But not only that, you see that it's also universal and that you can show up in different ways. And once you've shown up to the same event in two different moods, and once you've shown up to the same event, and I'm just saying event as an example, remember, repeatable IP can be all sorts of different stuff. But once you've repeated the thing and received more than one thing from it, once you've repeated the thing and showed up to it differently and walked away differently in different flavors and iterations, it shows you a whole new level that you were able to access. And then you look back and go, well, dang, I'm amazing at this. And it almost feels like a personal win. Like, look at me. Here I am owning this experience by getting so much more out of it. When really it's because, like you said, it's predictable and it's new.
Right. It's designed to not entertain you with novelty. It's designed to be an experience that you know what you're walking into. And so what's really interesting is the first time somebody comes to a no matter what, for example, they're just kind of bracing themselves for like, what exactly is going to happen here, right? And they're taking it in and they're trying to work through each exercise. Am I doing it right? And it has nothing to do with no matter what. Every repeatable IP experience, every course, every program that you put out there, any piece of your intellectual property, that's your client's experience, right? They're showing up with a beginner mindset. They're trying to figure out, how do I do it right? How do I squeeze all the juice out of this orange? How do I make sure I'm getting everything I want out of this, right? That's normal. And so you need a piece of repeatable IP to stand on its own. And if it's their first time, they feel like, oh my gosh, that was really cool and surprising. And it revealed something. And that revealed something I'm being a little generic with because it depends on the context of your work. Yeah. For us, we wanted to reveal at no matter what, look at all the confidence I've already earned. I'm going to take that with me into this next quarter. Right? Yeah. That's kind of the reveal of that experience. But for other people, it can vary. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Annie.
No. I was just going to say, and on a marketing standpoint, on a copywriting standpoint, on a social media standpoint, we've been saying for a while, those of us who are in the know, who also don't want you to work yourself to death and want you to do these things leanly, that your greatest hits bear repeating. This takes that same theory of don't just say your brilliant stuff on the internet once, or don't just have one launch and never do it again. This takes that and brings it into your offers in a tangible way that starts to feel like Girl Scout badges after a time.
It does. And I think that's why we call it Be Unmissable, because you're creating an unmissable experience that your favorite clients, your best clients, the ones you've worked your tail off to bring into your world and have them fall in love with you and your work. It gives them an experience they are never going to outgrow. Like, really hear that. Like, so often we have...
That's a good thing. Hold on. It gives you an experience that they're never going to outgrow in a good way that does not foster toxic, codependent client relationships.
Exactly. And here's why. Because you've had this experience where you work with a client and you have a finite program. No matter how incredible the program is, it's finite. Eventually, it's designed for them to graduate from. Right? And then you watch this incredible client who thinks you're the greatest thing since sliced bread or the zipper or whatever, drift away to lesser experts because they want to keep working towards mastery on this work. Right? They want to keep going in that direction. And they would love to do it with you and your genius, but they've completed the program. They've completed your signature experience. And so what we want to do is make sure your clients don't drift away and to give them a reason to stick around where they don't outgrow it because it's designed for them to get more value, more of what you do every single time. Right? And so each time they show up to it, they're different. Their goals are different. They've learned a lot from you already. They're ready to level up and so that they can get more out of that.
I freaking love that. And I think, we talked about signature experiences or this or that, but there's a great question from Kate in the chat that I want to make sure we're bringing up, which is that does this apply? I know the answer, but let's tell Kate.
Okay.
Does this apply if you are a service-based business that is not the coaching industry?
It 100% does. That's what's kind of shocking. So again, we discovered repeatable IP kind of by accident in 2020. And then we have since created lots of different small, low ticket, high ticket, and everything in between repeatable experiences for our clients. But now we teach other people how to do that. And it took us about a year to kind of wrap our heads around like, okay, which businesses is this good for? So it's good for anybody who wants to have one of 4 different kinds of offers. Right? There's 4 different buckets of offers that a repeatable experience can fit into.
Oh, name them.
Okay. So one is in person, right? A live experience. Think like a retreat that you want to host again and again. And everything is similar, if not the same. But every time they come to that retreat, they know what to expect and they get more out of it. They get more relaxation or whatever the promise is. It could be a group experience, like an online group experience, which is our jam because I'm a facilitator. And so that's like that's our happy place. So most of the people currently in our world that are building repeatable IP are building group experiences, but not completely. But a group experience where everybody comes together at the same time to go through a process or a ritual or to learn a system of some sort. The other that it could be is a one-on-one experience. We have a client right now who is building an SOS call. She calls it the HR SOS call. She's an HR expert, and she knows that there are people out there who don't have an HR department because they have a team of 5 and they don't need an HR department, but they have HR emergencies. And so she's built a piece of repeatable IP where you can book a call with her to solve one problem in 1 hour with an HR expert using a repeatable process. The problem changes every freaking time, right? The context of it changes every time. Again, they show up and they get more out of it because they know what to expect when they sit down with Norma for the HR SOS call. And then the 4th container is an asynchronous option where you can actually build something using Voxer or a bunch of forms. It could be a large group, it could be one-on-one, but an asynchronous offer where people can fit into that. So for you, I see Kate asked about service-based business, but not coaching. Absolutely. It does not need to be a coaching experience. In fact, most of the people that are building it are not building coaching experiences. Wendy White's in the chat right now. She's a great example. She is a messaging strategist, and she has built a piece of repeatable IP that helps you get more confident with writing quick pieces of copy in under an hour. And so it's an experience you can go through again and again called Copy Genius that walks you through those steps. She's not coaching anybody. She's teaching her process in a very deceptively simple, powerful, repeatable experience.
Back when I was in software, it doesn't even have to be completely matchy to what you're offering as long as it serves your people and delights you, right? Like there's a Venn diagram I learned from Jennie that I want you all to learn, which is it working and do I love it? And you need both of those things, right? But when I was in software, I worked at a firm called Polymathic, and the founder and I used to run an event called Founder Therapy. We shouldn't have called it that. We're not therapists. But Founder Therapy had nothing to do with the Annie and Marcy shows showing up and being experts. It was protected space to share what's working and what's not working, and that's it. And we had people come every week for years, and we had people franchise the event, and we got speaking gigs out of the event, and it had nothing to do with the fact that we sold software, but through it we sold a lot of software. So I say that to say, while you're brainstorming your own ideas on terms of these 4, don't worry about it being so literal, peanut butter meets jelly. You can crayon outside those lines a bit. And not for nothing, we are having our very own repeatable IP party on Thursday during implementation day. Jennie will be there. The whole purpose of that party is to help you and me come up with that sweet spot of some ideas, at least one rockin' sockin' idea that's going to make that possible for you.
Yeah, I mean, the key there is that the sky's the limit on this. I was surprised, to be honest, because again, my world has always been coaching and facilitating experiences, that repeatable IP could fit in so many different kinds of businesses, but anything that you do, anything that you offer where you think your clients are going to have that problem or that experience on the regular, it is something that could be a repeatable IP. It could be like reimagined as a repeatable IP experience. So when I say on the regular, that might mean on a schedule, and it might be situation based. So for example, you might say, we have a piece of repeatable IP we call the Make It Happen method, which is all about getting your to-do list ready for next week. Okay, that repeatability is baked into it because you're going to need that every week. So we do that every Thursday, right? So that's how we make that a thing. Whereas some other things are more situation based. We have another piece called the decision day. Okay, I don't know about you. I don't need to make a big decision on a calendar. I can't say on the 4th of every month I have a big decision. But when I have a big decision to make, I would like to make it. I would like some support.
When the moon is in the 7th house and Aquarius lines with Mars,
like I have
will be
no idea
behind on my bookkeeping.
Exactly. But there's some things that are more situational. And so that will actually trigger the need for it. The HRSOS call I talked about, for example, that is not something that people are scheduling on a specific quarterly kind of basis or monthly basis. They're doing it when they need it. And so depending on your business and depending on the kinds of offers that you want, this can be a place for your clients. The other thing I want to share that's really interesting, which again, I didn't see coming, for us, all of our services, whether they're reinvestable or not, I'll talk about that in a moment, all of them are repeatable IP to some extent, right? We have some that are not reinvestable, meaning we don't want to teach them again and again, where you can buy them for $10 and be done with it, right? Like if you want to see this and give me $10, go buy Tackle Your Fears, right? Tackle Your Fears teaches you 7 steps you will have memorized in 10 minutes that for the rest of your life. And then some other experiences, is more of an investment of time and money.
Yeah.
But what's been so fascinating is just recognizing some of these things I want to be reinvestable because our clients want to reinvest in them. I like to think about it kind of like if you were a chef. Imagine, do you watch Top Chef, Annie? Do you still watch Top Chef?
Joy.
Yeah. Okay. So Top Chef finale is coming out this week.
Top Chef, Iron Chef, all the chef, all the time.
Exactly. So when you think about like an amazing chef and you go to their restaurant, you probably want to taste the thing that they're known for, that dish, the one that made it into that magazine, right? And if you go to that restaurant again and they're no longer serving that, it's so disappointing, right? Yes, you might try a few other things, but you're still going to want to try that dish that was your absolute favorite. Like, please don't take that off the menu. It's the same kind of thing. I'm not saying change everything you're doing in your business, but this could be a really great supplement to what you're already doing. Right? Yeah. It could be positioned as like the first experience they have with you, or it could be positioned as after you completed my signature program. So after you've completed a signature program with Annie, maybe you want more specific sales help, and she could develop a piece of repeatable IP for you to do that again and again.
And what's the moment before and what's the moment after, right? So like Kate has this I asked Kate in the chat. Yeah. What they do. And Kate said, I design course materials, long form documents like annual reports. Jenny's getting excited. Jenny has a master's in what kind of design?
Organizational development.
Yeah. So yeah, Jenny and Kate, peas in a pod, meet each other, fall in love. But as such, as a designer of course materials, some of it does repeat. Some of the process does repeat, but it's all done for you. It's all bespoke. So it's not teaching them to do it. But I still think on behalf of the Kates of the world, we could look at this in a way to say, okay, but what else does the course need? A course is a whole ecosystem of itself, right? So even if you're not teaching, even if you're not giving out templates because it's all bespoke, templates are one example that you could do of a repeatable IP, fill in once and forevermore. What do you think, Jenny, about this idea of course materials, of courses in general? How could we add maybe a little something for our friend Kate?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine like part of that, you could build a repeatable IP that would, and you may already have it, just hasn't been thought of as a piece of investable repeatable IP for the onboarding of said client. Like, what are the things they have to figure out to be ready for you to design their course materials? Another thing you could do is like, after you've designed their course materials, maybe you create a repeatable IP experience that people are allowed to meet with you for I don't know, 45-minute session. They pay for a 45-minute session whenever they want to turn up the volume. And like, I've learned a lot from the first 100 clients. Now I'm ready to take that course another level. How do I make these adjustments? So you could develop a process, if you wanted to, of helping them refine that. So they keep coming back to you when they need to create another course, or when they're ready to polish up the course. So like, it's about thinking beyond just like, this is your signature work. I'm not trying to disrupt anything you're already doing. What I'm trying to do is complement it with having a way for the clients who are like, Kate designed my course materials and all of my event materials, and it was amazing. I know I can rely on Kate. And now the next time I work with Kate, I'm even easier to work with because I have this process I know to follow. And that helps them feel even more soul stitched to you and your work.
It's also an amazing time to bring in partners. Like annual reports, even though fiscal years happen at different times, and so therefore annual reports happen at different times. That's actually kind of a good thing. You don't have to worry about everything being in one season. But even so, what else is happening at annual report time? Our performance reviews happening at annual report time. Our partner thank you gifts going out at annual report time. Do people that are receiving the annual reports understand how to decode the reports they're receiving? What's going on in either the life of the client, the life of their individual client? What's going on in that ecosystem that death and taxes you can pretty much guarantee is going to happen? One of them, like you said, is onboarding, right?
And they want to not just do it well, they want to get better at it. So what is something that your clients would like to get better at, would like to get more value out of, would like to get better results out of, right? Like if they can do that every year, you know, if annual reporting is the thing for Kate, then every single year you could have the annual report, and I'm pulling these out of my tush, I haven't met you yet, but, you know, like the annual report oxygen, you know, like I'm going to give you oxygen and we're going to go through this process to prepare you for the annual report that you have to deliver, right? Or whatever it is. It's about thinking through what are things, again, they might not be on a schedule. They might be more situational. But what are things that your clients, you would like to see them do more than once so they can get beyond just proficiency at the thing that you offer and actually have the opportunity to gain mastery?
Yes, gaining mastery. And we got Kate, Jenny. I don't know if you saw, I flew it up on the screen. It says, my favorite annual report clients get easier every year, and we iterate new features of it each year. So, Kate, what's the process there?
Exactly. That's a jumping off point.
Right? Like, how have you greased that wheel for you? How have you greased that wheel for them? And which direction are we going? Because that, to me, just screams there's repeatable IP in there, because annual reports are annual.
Well, and if I may, you're not just building a piece of repeatable IP for like the novelty of that. That's not what we're here for. I like to share with everybody that we have one piece of repeatable IP that we charge $25 a month for. It's the Make It Happen method. 70% of our income in 2024 came from the people who regularly attend that $25 a month. Right? Because they are having a repeat experience with us, albeit a pretty simple one, profound, powerful. I'm not putting it down, but it's working on your to-do list and making sure you're actually finishing a to-do list every single week. Imagine the level of accomplishment you feel by doing that over and over again. Now that feeling of accomplishment is connected to Jennie and Meredyth. Right? They feel that connection. And so when we make announcements at the end of like, hey, this is the next thing we're selling, guess who's raising their hands first? And so you're creating an opportunity to build community at another level. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. The chat's blowing up. Everybody's getting it. Hallelujah. I'm so glad that you brought up the point that you just made, though, because one of the things that I think, one of the things that's very important to me as a weird community, small business advocate raccoon, is that not everything has to be so dang high ticket. So Kate's an awesome example. One thing that Kate could do for a low ticket product is, here's a template for an annual report. That's one option. Nay. But it's not necessarily the best and most glorious option. Kate could come up with a different version that doesn't feel like a template, that still feels co-creative, that is priced like a template, meaning is easy to afford, is a supermarket aisle gum purchase to people, an impulse buy, if you will. But then get them with the impulse and you keep them with the value. That's that secret about low tickets.
And it feels really special to be the one, like when you do this, and it, again, I said this earlier, but I'm going to reinforce it now that you're getting your head around this idea. It takes more effort at the front end to create a really powerful, repeatable experience that they're going to get more out of every time. But once you have that dialed in, it becomes your favorite thing that takes very low lift prep for you because you've done it 1,000 times. But to see the magic of your clients experience it again and again it's mind boggling. So it really is. I'm so glad you guys are into this. Is all
Are you
we
seeing these ideas pour in?
Yes.
A lot of when you're like, pop, 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 we can do this, we can do this, we can do this. I get chills every time I think about this. It's accessible. It's often low ticket. It's experiential. It works for all different kinds of service providers and thought leaders. And it's what you become known for. So many times we think about, how am I going to leave a legacy? How am I going to have a legacy? Your repeatable IP can be your legacy. Jennie, my work wife, my love, my presenting sponsor, thank you for being here. Thank you for being an all-star.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Raw, real, and just a little dangerous.